Hey, it's 5:17 a.m. I am pretty tired. I recorded this before, but the mic wasn't on, so I'm doing it again. I went to New York Comic Con this year, and I want to tell you about my experiences there. If I pause or stutter, please forgive me. Like all videos where I talk, I do this in one take and completely unscripted. I took pictures this year that I thought were decent enough to show. There are better ones on YouTube, Facebook, Google, and Twitter, but I felt they were decent enough to share, and I have nowhere else to share them. I might not remember the exact times or days that I went to the events, but I remember most of the things I did. So it shouldn't be too much of a problem other than the times. Please forgive me for that. I went from Friday to Sunday. I went the whole time each day. And let's start with Friday. I went to the Jason David Frank panel. And while I liked Power Rangers as a kid, I didn't continue watching when I started growing up. But I decided I had free time. I decided to go, see the panel. He was really nice. He was really fun with the fans. He seemed to like the whole Power Rangers fan base, and he answered all the questions. He was really nice to the fans. He plugged some of his stuff he was doing. They all seemed pretty interesting. And he talked about what he's planning to do next. Talked about his family. And at the end of the trailer for his new video he's doing, I don't remember what it was. Well, I remember what it was. I just don't remember the name of it. He had the villain question him, asking him what he did when he was a kid, and he said, "I played the flute in high school," and it made everyone, even me, chuckle because he played the Green Ranger. I don't remember the exact joke. You have to watch the trailer or the video to find out, and it's better that way. I then went to the Capcom panel to go see the line for Resident Evil Revelations 2 and Monster Hunter Ultimate, and they were both decent length. Revelations was longer because they had a longer demo. Well, they were both 15 minutes long, but less setups. There's like 12 setups of Monster Hunter and only 4 setups of Resident Evil. There might have been 8, but I already missed, by the time I went there, the signing for Kaname Fujioka, who is part of the Monster Hunter team. So I was like, oh darn, I missed him. So I went looking around, seeing what else I could do, while I waited to see what panel I should go to next. I decided to go to the Robot Chicken, Adult Swim, Insult Comic Dog, Rick and Morty panel, because I like Rick and Morty. Wasn't really interested in the other two, even though I loved Robot Chicken. And I liked Insult Comic Dog. I just didn't expect anything from them, even though I went to Robot Chicken last year and I had a good time. The Insult Comic Dog panel was great. It was a little drowned out with the laughter, and the wizard guy was pretty funny. Wasn't as funny as Insult Comic Dog. So we didn't get to do the Q&A though, so that was disappointing. But the Robot Chicken panel made up for it with the long Q&A and pretty much the off-the-wall comedy they were doing with the fans. They didn't really have much to show. They sort of talk about their DVD releases. But the real show was the Rick and Morty panel, which I had a great time seeing. They showed off all of Grandpa Rick's catchphrases for season 2, and I can't wait to see them. I don't know if I should say any of them, but they're all online, so you can look at them. Dan Harmon makes a great summer. They did a great improv scene at breakfast. You should really watch it if you like Rick and Morty. Justin Roiland is a funny man. I pretty much had a great time at the Rick and Morty panel. They had a Mr. Meeseeks up there. They pretty much talked about their DVD, talked about season 2. It got me really excited. They give you little wristbands for the main stage panels, so that there's no line anymore. You don't have to worry about, you know, missing the panel because you're online and you end up saying, "Oh darn, I was just this close." So that's nice. You know, I didn't know you could get Archer panel ahead of schedule, even though every other panel was pretty much sold out already, which I should have figured out. That meant that you could get them whenever. Like the Walking Dead panel was already completely sold out when I got there at 10 o'clock a.m. So I should have realized that, especially afterwards when I saw the Marvel panel was also sold out. And when I say sold out, I don't mean it costs money. It just means that they ran out of wristbands. They're like the Chuck E. Cheese wristbands or Play Aerobics or whatever you went to when you were a kid, where they give you the little wristband to show that you're in there. So I was disappointed I missed Archer. I also missed Bob's Burger on Thursday, but I didn't go on Thursday because I had school and work and stuff. I, you know, after that panel, I just looked around for stuff to do. I found stuff to do. It wasn't too hard. I went to panels. I, looked around the shops and stuff. I played Resident Evil, played Monster Hunter. I fought the hermit crab monster, which I know I'm gonna forget the name of, which I did now. Wish I wrote it down somewhere. But I fought him with the charge axe, and it was my first time playing with the charge axe, and I killed it. But I like the charge axe. It reminds me of the switch axe. So that's always a good thing for me, because I really like the switch axe. I just like weapons that can change modes. Other than that, I like the twin blade and the sword and shield. Now, after that, I kind of just did nothing really. I went to, after being disappointed I missed the Archer panel, I went to the DC Aquaman panel because I'm a huge fan of Aquaman. But I was disappointed that I had to either pick Archer or Aquaman, and pretty much my lack of knowledge over how the main stage was going to work, I got to go see Aquaman. I did also miss the Birdman panel, which I really want to see that movie. So I did get to see that, though, the panel itself, because the line for the Aquaman panel was already forming, so I could look at the Birdman panel while I was, online. The thing about it was, they should have done that with the main stage too, because only 1E had the projector going of the panel at the time you're online. I feel main stage should have done something like that too, but I think that's because main stage would be too crowded with people watching the projector. It makes sense. Really excited for the Aquaman movie, because I'm a huge fan of Aquaman. Out of the DC heroes, him, Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, and Green Lantern are my favorites. Don't really like much of DC though, so that's not saying much. I really like Elseworlds though. And I went to it, loved the trailer, excited for Aquaman. They talked about how to do two in continuity movies, and they do one out of continuity where it could be anything. So that kind of gets me excited because I really want to see something like that. Well, more out of continuity video movies, because I like out of continuity. But I am excited for Aquaman. Can't wait to see him. And other than that, that's all I did on Friday. Went home and went to bed and got up at like 8 and went back. So for Saturday, I did pretty much the same thing. I went to the floor and looked around. Then I went to the Monster Hunter panel, and they announced, as you know if you're a Monster Hunter fan, they announced Pelico Mega Man costume and Pelico Final Fantasy costume and Tetsuya Nomura designed armor. And that was pretty interesting. Everyone really excited for it. Kaname Fujioka talked a little bit, some guy translated, which I feel bad I don't remember his name, because I was clapping for him. I'm sorry. So, I had a great time at the panel. They didn't answer much questions, but they talked about the Gore Magala. Talked about the second boss after the Gore Magala, which I don't remember the name of as well. I'm really bad at this. But afterwards, I went and got my Monster Hunter pin again for fighting the land shark, the one that inhales water and then shoots it back out of you. He gets really fat, rolls around. He reminds me of the ice shark that's in Monster Hunter 4. Really forgetting the names of these monsters. I'm going to avoid mentioning names. But on Saturday, I mostly waited online to get my Resident Evil Revelations 2 poster signed by, I'm going to pronounce the name wrong, Michiteru Okabe. And I got that signed. He signs really quickly. He speaks decent English. I was actually shocked. I thought they were like, they said he could speak good English, but I didn't really believe it. And he speaks really decent English. On the other hand, Kaname Fujioka does not speak good English, but he speaks decent enough that he can ask you questions about signing the poster. Michiteru Okabe was really fast with his signatures. He got through a lot of people. Kaname Fujioka did not. He was very slow. He has a very unique signature. So he can only sign one thing. I really wanted him to sign my Monster Hunter 3 and Ultimate stuff, but sadly, only one thing per person. And that line was long. So instead of trying to get back on it, to try to get one more thing signed, like we at the end of the line, I decided to go to the Resident Evil Revelations 2 booth and play that a little bit more. I really like Barry Burton's daughter. I want to mess around with the crowbar more, but you get at the very end of the game, well, the demo, and I didn't get to do much with it. I'm not really a big fan of Claire, besides liking her in Resident Evil 2. I went to the Namco Bandai panel, and I saw the huge line for Akira Toriyama, I think it was, for Battle of the Gods, Dragon Ball Z. And I was like, I can't even get on this line at all, so the security came over the fact that there's two booths that had signings that were huge lines, and they had to figure out a way to make sure they didn't collide and get messed up, because they were getting close to doing that. They fixed it. It was no big deal. I went to play Digimon Rumble Arena and Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse, and they were pretty fun. I didn't play Dark Souls, didn't play Pac-Man. Not a big fan of the DLC of Dark Souls because I could play it when it comes out. Don't really need to play it now. And Pac-Man was just not interested. I then went to, by the time it was all over, I went to the Titmouse panel. But before I could go into it, I had to go into the Women of DC panel because I didn't want to lose a seat because they don't clear out anything but the main stage. So everything else besides the main stage gets cleared out. Everything does not get cleared out except for the main stage because main stage had wristband and you have to have the wristband of the performance or panel to stay in the room. So I was worried I might not get a seat, and I went into it. It was cool. A little too much clapping over little things, but that happens with every comic, so it's not a big deal. Not a big fan of most of those comics, so I'm not a big fan of DC. But most of the writers were decent, and they had nice things to say about their, work. So I had no issues with it at all. I found it hilarious that half the crowd left after it, though, which I expected, because, it happens at every panel I went to. Half the crowd leaves, the other half stays to stay to the next one. So, but the thing about it that was hilarious is that the whole front row left, so I was like, oh, finally, I get to sit in the front row for a Titmouse panel. And that's what I did. The Titmouse panel was great. They showed mostly bumpers and teasers. They didn't really show anything new, which is fine. There's nothing new to show really right now. They showed the same Venture Brothers teaser they showed last time on YouTube and stuff. I don't remember the last time they actually showed it, but it's the same one. Nothing special. I was kind of disappointed with that. I did not get anything this time. Like, I didn't get any swag or anything, which kind of bummed me out because I usually get at least one thing. Like, I had the coloring book and stuff. But it was no issue because I just had fun. They had some of their artists in the room, not on the stage, but in the room. Like, they stood up. One was in costume as Link. That was interesting. The voice actor for Jackknife in Super Jail, and also the creator of Super Jail, I think he also does the Warden, took a picture with a person dressed up as the Warden and did Jackknife's voice for the opening Jackknife scene in Super Jail live because they had an animatic and they, had him do the voice of it. Oh, they did show the Neo 80s show that I was really into when I saw the trailer. It looked great. Almost forgot about it. Almost, but I really loved it at the time. It had a really good 80s vibe. It was a detective kind of show. Really loved it. Really can't wait to see it. I think it's on Comedy Central. I really, really liked Titmouse's animation, so it's good for me. They had a lot of Megas XLR and Motor City fans in the panel. I guess that's because, there were big shows that got canceled, so you had to have big cult followings. Or fan followings, whatever you want to call them. I don't want to offend people by calling them a cult. So after that, there was a Kill la Kill panel right after it. And my friend's a big fan of Kill la Kill. So I could have seen the OVA. I don't know who was at the panel, but I could have seen the OVA. I was in the front row. But I left. There was a huge line for it. If I tried to get back online, I was not getting in the panel. So I left, and I was going straight to the IFC panel right next door to see Comedy Bang Bang and the Birthday Boys, because I like that more. So I got in that panel. That was half empty, so that kind of made me sad about them. They made a joke about it, saying like half their whole fan base is in the room. So that was fun. They aired the special, the new Comedy Bang Bang Halloween special, which had the bookkeeper, a play on the Crypt Keeper, his brother, and they make a joke about how the only thing in life that's constant is death and taxes, which is a good joke. I don't want to tell too much about the story or anything because it was actually pretty funny, and it's coming out in a week, so you can see that. They were really nice though. They answered all the questions they could. After the time ran out, they signed every poster that came up. So like everyone who came up to get a poster signed got a poster signed. Anyone got a picture got a picture. They were really nice. They made jokes about how no one watches the Birthday Boys, how their fan base might not be able to stay up till 11 o'clock to watch them. And it was all great. I actually got a picture with Scott Aukerman, and I got the poster signed by him. I got the picture signed with the poster signed by the Birthday Boys. They were all nice, and I tried to get a picture with all of them. And then when the last three were leaving, I wanted to get a picture of them real quick. So I was like, hey, can you take a picture with me real quick? And I was like, I was standing in front of the panel, getting like a selfie. I'm not really good at those. If you saw them, you'd know I'm horrible at them. And they're like, why don't you just get up on stage? I was like, okay. And they asked me if I want to be standing up or sitting down. I was like, whatever feels comfortable to you guys. And they said, how about you sit down and we all stand around you? I was like, sounds good to me. And they took a picture. It was really nice. I got to sit in the panel with them. And I felt, kind of cool doing it. Don't really feel cool that often. And I did make some jokes with them because whenever I'm with people that I feel comfortable with, I can, heckle them a little bit. Because I know they take it in jest. And, I asked for one guy's phone number. And, he actually gave it to me. And I was like, oh, I'm not gonna call you, but thank you. I know he did a joke too, but I also said, hey, hate your show, never watched it, and little jokes like that. Talked to Scott Ackerman, asked him for his social security number. Pretty much I just joked around with them because whenever I feel comfortable or uncomfortable, that's the only thing I can do. They were all great guys, though. I really appreciate them taking out the time to joke around with the fans, and I really appreciate they stayed like I think 30 minutes after the panel ended to answer questions, not answer questions, but talk to the fans. Well, answer questions of course with the fans, sign autographs. It was really nice. Then I went home and I went back to bed and woke up. Went and I hoped I would get to see the Karate Kid panel because I woke up early, but I missed the bus, so I missed it. I was like, I think one whole line, not one whole line, but one grouping of line before I could go in, and that's when they just cut it off. I did see Ralph Macchio and the other actors from the show that came, but I saw them outside and I couldn't get close, but I did get to see them for 3 seconds. And after that, I went back to the Namco Bandai panel, went to the Marvel panel. It was Kids Day, so I wanted to avoid, anything that would have too big of a crowd. So I try to stay somewhere near games and stuff to have fun. And I went to the Marvel panel, hung around there, see what they had. And then I went to the American Dad panel, where I thought for sure Seth MacFarlane would be the person they were going to have as a special guest because they had one guy who was not announced, and it turned out to be Patrick Stewart. I was pleasantly surprised. And what happened was, talked about how Director Bullock, is a crazy character and how they didn't think they'd get away with much with Patrick Stewart. And he said, oh no, I had a great time. Klaus talked about how he wanted to see Klaus butt crack. Steve's voice actor wanted to talk about how Steve should get laid this season. Jeff's coming back, so that's exciting. Hoping Sinbad comes with him. Ghost Sinbad. They aired the first episode of the TBS season. Pretty funny with the whole blonde episode with the Haley, how blondes get more done. And I think it was a Deadmau5 parody. Not a big fan of Deadmau5, so I wouldn't know. And I had a great time. All in all, it was pretty great. I have nothing really to talk about other than that it was a great experience. I really hope maybe to see IFC again, the IFC panel with Comedy Bang Bang and Birthday Boys, because, I like their show, and I didn't get to see them last year because I chose other things. But next year I plan to go see them with Titmouse because I go to Titmouse every year, and I go to maybe IFC every year now. Besides that, I really guess I could talk about how I also tried to fight the Gore Magala, and I was so close to killing it, but just could not do it. He carded me 3 times, I was done. I also fought the Great Jaggy. I got some stuff from the Capcom panel because I wanted the Rathian plushie, because I like the Rathian. And other than that, I had a good time. I did not eat the whole time I was there, so I was starving. So on Sunday, when I got home, I ate a lot. Other than that, though, the Marvel panel was pretty fun, except for the horrible, horrible game called Marvel Not Injustice, the video game for iPad and iPhone. That game was just... I didn't want to be rude or anything, but the only thing good about it is that there's more combo potential than Marvel... Well, not in Marvel. Injustice, in the fact that it felt like there was more combos going on, but the specials felt so uninspired. The only thing I liked about it was the roster, because it had some Guardians of the Galaxy characters. But I know that's just because Guardians of the Galaxy movie came out. They want to cross-promote. I want to see Nova in it. But it's not that great. But there's this little girl who was wearing a Sesame Street hashtag shirt. I guess they gave away at the Sesame Street panel. And turns out she was lost because I didn't see her father around or her mother. And I was like, where is her parents? And turns out she was lost. But she was hanging around near the Marvel game panel. So that Marvel game booth. And luckily she was there. And I saw her. The guy working there saw her. So luckily he found her and gave her in the Marvel booth. Announced that, hey, there's a girl missing. Can you find her? And turns out she was right there, and they found her easy. And they all had a big cheer for her. She got up on stage and danced a little bit for, I think it was for either a statue or a PS3 with Disney Infinity 2.0. She didn't win because some kid was better. He was a really good dancer. Well, they gave away a lot of stuff at the end of the panel. I keep saying panel, booth. At the end of the day, they kept on giving away a lot of stuff like comics. They gave away Hulk Agent of Smash comics that no one wanted. And they gave away Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Lexus. And they actually gave away some real comics. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. badges. Nova Force Corps. The Nova Corp stickers, badges, things. They gave away a lot of those posters. They give away Daredevil posters. They give away a lot of stuff to people. Like they give away Kotobukiya statues. They give away a Captain America shield thing, but only if you register for their Comic-Con thing they're doing. And it was all great. They gave away jackets. All in all, Marvel gave away a lot of stuff at the end. They couldn't throw anything because of rules and stuff. They gave away t-shirts. I also went to see as you can see in my pictures, the many Batman costumes that they had through the years. And they were all pretty nice. Like Christian Bale's, Michael Keaton's, Val Kilmer's, George Clooney's, and Ben Affleck's, who is confirmed to be naked because all they had was his cowl and cape, so he's naked underneath. So that's exciting. I was sad I never saw Michael Keaton next to the Batman costume, but I'm hoping that he took a picture next to it at one point during the time at Comic-Con. And other than that, that's all I did, really. I'm going next year as well. And I hope that I get better pictures for you guys if you guys actually enjoy looking at the pictures I took. And I hope you enjoyed me talking about it. And I hope my stuttering was not a huge issue. I really tried to avoid it. And I hope you all have a great night. I hope you enjoyed my little rundown of what I did. Thanks,